Welcome to a team selection video for Game Week 26, and as things stand, it is the last major double game week of the season, and it's important obviously to set up correctly for that. And should we use the triple captaincy or the bench boost? Obviously it's all team dependent, but if you have any of your specific situations, then leave them down in the comment section below, and don't forget to drop a like on this video. It really helps out the channel. But without further ado, I'm going to be reviewing how Game Week 25 went, and then talking about my plans for Game Week 26 and what has changed from before. But starting off from in goal, pretty happy with Nick Pope. Another clean sheet, but I have to say Burnley were very fortunate to keep a clean sheet in the end, because West Brom just wasted multiple chances. But in the end we got there, and a lot of people had double Burnley defence even now because of Game Week 24 and their double. And yeah, once again they delivered. So happy with Pope, and whenever he keeps a clean sheet, pretty much he keeps, he gets some bonus points. So very happy with that. As for the defence, pretty good overall. You look at the double C defence, and I did expect them to get a clean sheet against Arsenal, if not at least maybe just an attack and return or something, especially Cancelo. And in the end, they got me 11 points between them. So from an FPL perspective, pretty happy. As for Wan-Bissaka, the only defensive player from my team to blank. And Manchester United actually, over the last 4 game weeks, have the 4th best expected goals conceded. Only Brighton, Manchester City and Chelsea, who are top, have a better expected goals conceded over the last 4 game weeks. However, Man United just can't seem to be getting these clean sheets, against West Brom, now against Newcastle. Probably teams you'd expect them to keep these clean sheets against, but it is what it is. I still think going forward, having an asset like Shaw or Wan-Bissaka is, something I would recommend, especially Luke Shaw. And if I obviously didn't have a Man United defender going into this game week, despite having Chelsea as one of the fixtures and Man City coming up, I still would be getting Shaw. And I know Manchester City is their next opponent in Game Week 27, but I do think that United assets are good, even defensively. Only one though. I wouldn't double up on their defence, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, Wan-Bissaka, not very good, but it is what it is. Dallas. Now, this is one of my best transfers this season. I didn't take a hit to get him in, but I got him in for this game week. 2 fixtures, and the first one was very disappointing, and probably a bit unlucky not to keep the clean sheet against Wolves. I mean, it was an own goal by Meslier, but 17 points overall after a great performance against Southampton. And yeah, great goal outside of the boot. And yeah, just very, very happy with Dallas. Got the clean sheet as well and the bonus points. Obviously, something I was debating all week was, should I also get Rafinha in for Son, maybe even for a -4, and then I could upgrade maybe Antonio to Kane. And obviously in hindsight I probably would now, but even then I'm not too bothered. But of course, going into this game week, if I had to pick one player, then it would be Kane over Son. But it is what it is. Son did blank, so did Kane, to be fair, and they hit the post several times. I don't know how Spurs didn't score more in that game, but West Ham ended up being the victors there. And Spurs, I don't know, just very up and down season for them. They started off so well, and then now they've just tailed off. Gundogan did blank. He basically got put straight into the starting lineup, which shows how important he is. I think they're trying to get his fitness back up for that Borussia Mönchengladbach game in the Champions League. But yeah, Ilkay Gundogan, very, very good there. Obviously not FPL wise. I'm happy he did blank. I didn't want too much damage on Arsenal, but yeah, the good thing about him, I wouldn't say a good thing about him getting injured, but you know what I mean. The good thing about him being flagged was that a lot of people got rid of him, so his effective ownership and his ownership in general is going to go down going into Game Week 26, so that makes him maybe a differential captain there. There's so many captaincy options, as we'll be discussing soon. Salah did blank as well. I mean, Liverpool are just a shadow of their former selves. I mean, away from home, they can still do damage because they're the ones who are the ones with quick transitions and counterattacks, and they're not expected to break a team down. They really struggle when the onus is on them. And at home, in every single game, teams just sit back on Liverpool and counterattack, and Liverpool just struggle to find a way through. Salah almost scored, forced a great save out of Pickford, but in the end didn't do anything. Bruno Fernandes, my vice-captain, and once again, I mean, apart from maybe a few instances such as Game Week 24, my vice captain tends to outscore my captain. So maybe going into game week 26, I should maybe consider my vice captain. But then again, I don't know how it works. But Bruno Fernandes, 12 points, got an assist. I mean, this is the thing with Bruno. It can seem jammy with the penalty as well, but he gets the points, and that's why I have him. And he just keeps on delivering. Antonio, 7 points. He came off my bench, actually. I originally had Grealish in there, but of course he was injured, didn't feature. Antonio came on, and there was actually something I did last minute. So I had Calvert-Lewin first on my bench originally, and although I thought if he started, I think he could do something against Liverpool, I just thought, you know what, Antonio, I think he's going to start despite Moyes' comments, and he has a good record against Spurs, and Spurs are actually not that good defensively. So I put Antonio first sub. In the end, I gained 3 points from that decision. But yeah, overall, I mean, basically, I just missed out on 2 points, if anything, by obviously not having Calvert-Lewin instead of a Son or Wan-Bissaka. But you know, it's very easy to judge these things now. Bamford, he was on for bonus points. Unfortunately, they got taken away, but it is what it is. I think the Rafinha late goal obviously changed things from that perspective, but still happy with Bamford and still a decent captaincy. That's why double game week players can be so effective, because he only scored 1 goal and he still gets 16 points from it. So pretty happy with that. And going into game week 25, I have a lot of double game week players. And as I keep on saying, my plan is to bench boost, but I will be discussing just my plans in general, especially with my transfers, which will be very, very important to whether my bench boost is successful or not. But Martins is in goal against Leeds and Sheffield United. Now, Aston Villa have witnessed a big decline offensively and defensively. They're mid-table over the last 4 game weeks in terms of expected goals conceded. But still, you know, Martinez is worth keeping. I wouldn't sell him, especially with the fixtures they have. But yeah, I think he can maybe get 1 clean sheet there. Leeds and Sheffield, I mean, I expect Leeds to score in that game. I'd be very surprised, and they actually put 3 past Martinez last time. As for Sheffield, that's where you'd probably want the clean sheet or more points, but you never know with Aston Villa and Martinez. Maybe Grealish will be back, whether it's for the Leeds game or the Sheffield United game, who knows, but that would be a big boost overall, and Aston Villa would be a much better team for it. And something that I pointed out and basically in the last few videos, especially the best wildcard team video I posted the other day, Aston Villa have only won 2 out of their 16 games without Grealish over the past few years. So it shows how important he is to them. I wouldn't be doubling up on Aston Villa defence. I still think that. However, if you are looking for a double game week defender and you already have Martinez and you're struggling to really find anyone else and you cover game week 29 in that case, you could go for Target, but doubling up on Aston Villa defence right now is very risky. Definitely not the same proposition as it was in Game Week 19 when they did so well for us. As for Wan-Bissaka, as I already discussed, Man United still have one of the best defences in terms of underlying stats. However, Chelsea, you probably wouldn't expect a clean sheet, but then again, in every single big game this season, apart from the Spurs game, Man United have basically drawn 0-0 all the time. So they might be more conservative, and that will be good for any Man United defender owners. So that's something to consider. And Crystal Palace, despite their win over Brighton, they tend to struggle so much without Zaha. So if he misses out, then Man United could be in for some points there, but we'll have to wait and see. Double City defence. I keep on saying it. Obviously, the double attack is a differential, but I prefer the double defence. I do expect some rotation here and there, but it just comes past part and parcel with Pep. But yeah, I've got the double City defence in there, and they're actually good games. West Ham obviously isn't the greatest or easiest game right now, but Wolves at home, yeah, you'd expect City to do something there. We'll have to wait and see. Dallas at home to Aston Villa. To be honest, anyone who owns double or triple leads, I wouldn't be in a rush to get rid of them because they could outscore a lot of double game week players. Obviously, as I mentioned, they won against Aston Villa last time 3-0. And I believe, Bamford scored a hat-trick or something like that. And yeah, I think they could maybe not do something similar, but with how Aston Villa are at the moment, especially if Grealish misses out, you'd expect some points there, whether it's Dallas, Rafinha, Bamford, even Meslier potentially. But yeah, I'm definitely keeping my Leeds players also in preparation for Game Week 29. And yeah, I think they could do something. Son, I already discussed this. I could have maybe moved him to Rafinha last week for a -4, and then this week I would have been able to do Antonio to Kane. But it is what it is. I didn't do it in the end. I would have gained 8 points from it, and maybe more, depending on how Game Week 26 goes. But Heung-min Son, very disappointing over the last few game weeks. And yeah, Spurs are just such a hit and miss team at the moment. And if Son or Kane don't do something, then no one will. However, I'll have to say that Gareth Bale, he looks sharp in the last few games that he has come on, so maybe he could make a difference and share the burden in terms of the attack. And a lot of people mentioning Spurs defenders for Game Week 26. I know the fixtures look really good on paper, but I don't know. And even from an attacking perspective, because Burnley, I think they're 7th or 8th best defence over the last few game weeks, according to the stats. And Fulham, they're actually right up there, also 5th. So they're not that easy. They may seem really easy, but they could be very tough to break down. Obviously, I still expect Son and Kane to deliver. However, maybe not to the astronomical heights that maybe we're used to at the beginning of the season. But we'll have to wait and see. I probably wouldn't captain Son with how Spurs are at the moment, despite obviously them having the greatest fixtures on paper. Now, Salah, this is a tough one. I captained them against Sheffield when he played them at home, and this was before their big dip. And it just didn't work out. And whenever I captained someone against Sheffield, I did it with Bruno twice. They all blanked. And that's because Sheffield tend to be very tight at the back. And even though they may lose, they tend to lose by a 1 or 2 goal margin. However, all of Sheffield United's defenders, the main defenders, are out. Egan, Basham, etc. So that's something to keep an eye on. They're going to have not so great replacements in their stead. So Salah could be on for a captaincy. Obviously, Chelsea at home isn't the greatest fixture. Chelsea, as I already pointed out, have the best underlying stats defensively over the past few game weeks since Tuchel's arrival. And they've basically been very good throughout the whole season. But still, Salah could be doing something there. He's got a good record against Chelsea at home. So he's still a good captaincy option. I think any of these midfielders, even Son, although obviously I'm not too keen on it, I think any of them are good options, and some more players which I'll be discussing. But Bruno Fernandes, at the moment, he is my captain. Chelsea away isn't ideal, but Palace away, I would fancy something there. 2 away games for Bruno, who is in great form once again. No Pogba, so he's basically having all of the attacking responsibility other than the strikers. So Bruno Fernandes is someone to look at, and he's a bonus points magnet, and he can be jammy. So hopefully if I do captain him, he is very jammy and gets those points. Gundogan, it's an interesting one. I think he is nailed. As nailed as you can be, other than maybe Edison or Kevin De Bruyne, and maybe Diaz, as I keep pointing out. But Gundogan might miss one of these games. That's a possibility. That's why at the moment I'm not captaining him. He was my original captain when I first set up my team. But yeah, it could be any of these 3, Salah, Fernandes or Gundogan. But another captaincy I'm actually considering because of the fixtures is Calvert-Lewin. Southampton at home and West Brom away. 2 of the worst defences, not just over the whole season but also recently. West Brom have improved. They tend to be the worst outright. However, they're around 7th worst recently, but Southampton are bottom for all these underlying defensive stats, such as expected goals conceded. So it's something worth mentioning, and even just without using expected goals, the amount of goals they're conceding is ridiculous, even 3 to Leeds. So yeah, I think Calvert-Lewin could be a great captaincy shout. Everton are one of the best attacks, especially recently, so something worth keeping an eye on. And Bamford, as I already pointed out, had a great performance against Aston Villa in the last game that they featured in, so he could do something again. Now, what is my bench looking like? Because I am looking to bench boost. It's looking like this at the moment. However, I will be taking either a -4 or -8. So I've made 1 transfer already, Grealish to Barnes, and it was before the price rise. So I still have Barnes in at 6.8 million. Now, I don't recommend chasing prices or whatever, because also, especially with a lot of big hitters being out, although they are recovering now, it's not something that you have to do. However, it gives me more flexibility, because if I didn't do this, for example, before the price rise, I wouldn't be able to afford Digne if I wanted him, and that's something I'm really considering. The defender I'm not so sure on. However, if I do move Antonio on, it would be for Watkins, and of course, in hindsight, probably should have gotten rid of Son last week for Rafinha. Had triple leads, which obviously places me in good stead for Game Week 29, and also a great fixture against Aston Villa. I probably cover some points there. And then I could get Kane in. But it isn't, I just haven't done it, so it is what it is. So I'll probably do Antonio to Watkins. And then Soufal, this is the big one. I don't know who I should get in for him. I've been debating this all the time, and I've been looking at underlying stats, and I've been looking at how many goals teams are conceding and their opponents and what their stats are like. I'm just not so sure. I'm not really too keen on most defensive assets. That's why I've got to double up with City, because I just don't trust most of the defenses. However, what I am considering at the moment is Digne or Pereira. Very expensive players, I know, but Pereira played an advanced role, as I pointed out the other day in my wildcard video, and he played as a right midfielder. So that is something worth keeping an eye on. And Leicester are one of the best defences, although sometimes they can be a bit, suspect, but it is what it is. And then as for Digne, two great fixtures on paper, but if you look at how many points he got in the reverse fixtures, I believe he got -1 or -2 points against Southampton after a red card, and he only got 1 point against West Brom in a 5-2 win. So it could go either way. With Everton, it's very hard to anticipate when they'll keep a clean sheet. So I'm not too sure about Digne. However, what may sway me towards the Evertonian is because they may have a double game week in 28 against Aston Villa. And that's another reason why getting Watkins and Digne, I cover game week 28 potentially. And I do lose one game week 29 player in Soufal, but I would be exchanging Antonio for Watkins, who has a double game week against, two, I'd say, good teams to play against. But then again, Aston Villa without Grealish, it's not ideal. If Grealish was available, then I'd probably be even looking at a triple up of Aston Villa. But I think 2 is enough, and I may get Watkins in for Antonio, and Pereira or Digne in for Soufal. There are still other alternatives such as Reguilon. I could even go a bit cheaper with Leicester with Soyuncu. Even Fulham defenders. However, I'm not really feeling it, especially with the second game being Tottenham, who I would expect to score a goal at least, and very bad fixtures in 27 and 28 against Liverpool and City. So there's a lot of things to consider. There's a lot of different ways I can go about it. Now, obviously, there's always this debate when you bench boost. Oh, why do you put these players on the bench? Whatever. It really doesn't matter. You're gaining points, because everyone is counted. It really doesn't matter. But the way I've structured it is all my latest transfers are going to be on my bench. So Pope, my latest transfers, especially in goal, he's going to be on the bench. And then if I do get those 2 players I said, they would be 2 new transfers. And Harvey Barnes is another one. And unless I was considering captaining Barnes, which I'm not, then I'll just put him in the starting lineup because you can't captain someone on the bench. But it really doesn't matter. At the moment, the captaincy, I wouldn't say locked in, but it's between Bruno, Salah, Gundogan, Calvert-Lewin, and maybe even Son. But the reason why I'm not really considering City too much is the rotation, especially with Champions League. And with Son, I just don't trust Spurs enough. And then with Salah, then again, Liverpool are just really hot and cold. So maybe Bruno is the one. But Calvert-Lewin, I'm also very tempted by him. But yeah, it would be a very good looking team on paper. Obviously, if I do make those 2 moves, it would be a -8. But if I do stick to the 1, just a -4, and should easily make up those points and be well set for game week 29. And from game week 27, 28 and 29, I'll just be making transfers aimed towards that game week, and then I'll wildcard either in game week 30, 31 or 32. Obviously, it's good to keep your mind open, but also to have a plan. And other than that, I'd just have my triple captaincy, and I'd probably use that in a smaller double game week, as I keep on saying. And when I start to get a sense of when I'm going to use it, I'll let you guys know, of course. And if you enjoy this video, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate all the support that you have given me. And let me know what your team situation is like. Are you wildcarding? Are you bench boosting? Or are you triple captaining? Now, as I already said at the beginning of the video, just let me know your situation down in the comment section below, and I'll give you my opinion, and hopefully it is helpful. But I appreciate everyone who has joined in. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.